Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about 5 basic photography tips if you are shooting with an iPhone. Before I get into this video, I just wanted to thank you guys for getting me to 400 subscribers, and I'm making it a personal goal of my own to get to 500 subscribers by March 1st. So if you like these videos and you like being creative and you like photography and videography, this is the place for you. We go over camera gear, photography and video tutorials and everything like that. So if you like these videos, definitely subscribe. Now, just because this is a video aimed towards beginner photographers that are using their iPhone, that doesn't mean that you might not learn something new. So definitely, if you have experience but you just really love photography, then check this video out. So today's topic is on iPhone photography, and specifically we're going to be looking at 5 basic tips that'll help you take better pictures on your iPhone. Now, I'm using the iPhone 12 Pro Max. In this video, I'm not really going to be going over the specs of the iPhone 12 Pro Max, but more of the basic camera functions that you can find in the stock camera app that Apple provides you. So in general, if you have an iPhone from the past few years with the updated firmware on it, this video will be helpful to you. I did make a video on the iPhone 12 Pro Max specifically and what you can expect from in terms of video and photography from this camera, so I'll link that above if you want to check that out. So one more thing that I'm really curious about before we start this video is, what phone are you shooting with? If it's an Apple phone, what series Apple phone do you have? And if you don't have an Apple phone, what else are people shooting with? I'm genuinely curious because I've been using Apple forever. So some of you might think that you need to invest in a nice fancy mirrorless camera to get great photo results, but that is not true, and I want to show you how to get great results with your iPhone. Okay, so tip 1 is understand the controls. Okay, so you have your standard, your ultra wide, and your telephoto on the iPhone 12 Pro Max. So in standard here, if I tap the button and then drag left or right, I get more fine control over my lenses in terms of the zoom range. Alright, so if we swipe up on that word photo, we'll get to these buttons down here, and let's go through it left to right. So all the way to the left, that's your flash. And then to the right of your flash, you can turn on live photo mode, which I'll explain in another video. And then to the right of that is your crop. So you can change it 16:9 or square crop, or the standard 4:3. And then to the right of that is my most used control, which is exposure compensation. To the right of exposure compensation is your timer. Finally, the button all the way to the right, those are your photo presets that you can choose to apply after or before you take the photo. If I swipe down on those buttons, I'll get back to the photo menu, and if I swipe to the left, I can get to portrait mode, and again, we'll be going over portrait mode more in depth in a later video. Tip number 2, use the grid lines on your phone. To do this, you just have to go into the settings part of your phone and then go into the camera section and enable the grid. Enabling the grid lines will allow you to focus on your composition and start to learn about those different compositional rules like the rule of thirds, and it will help you frame up your shot. Tip number 3 is to use portrait mode. I know a lot of people that are just getting into taking photos with their phone camera kind of shy away from portrait mode, but if you use this feature correctly, you can really do a great job at mimicking the performance of a mirrorless camera or a DSLR with a fast prime lens. In some of the more standard iPhone versions like the iPhone 12, you'll still get access to portrait mode utilizing that standard wide angle lens, but if you do have a Pro phone, then you get access to that telephoto lens that you can utilize for portraiture, which is more of a traditional focal length. Tip number 4 is try to understand the different lenses on your phone camera. So like I said, the iPhone 12 Pro Max has 3 different lenses on the camera. I have an ultra wide angle, a standard wide angle, and the telephoto. When you're just starting out, you don't really need to know what the full frame equivalent focal length of those lenses would be, but you just have to understand the basic principles of each of the different lenses. If you're utilizing an ultra wide, you'll notice that if you start to put your subject on the edges of the frame, that they're gonna become really distorted and things are gonna look really weird. So a lot of the time when I'm utilizing the ultra wide angle lens for portraiture, I try to keep my subjects in the center of the frame just to avoid that distortion. Same thing with the standard wide angle lens. When I'm taking portraits, I try to make sure that my subject is more towards the center of the frame, just so things look a little bit more natural. And then obviously with the telephoto lens, if you have that on your camera, you're gonna get, I would say, more pleasing results, and that is sort of subjective, but more pleasing results when you're taking portraits of people and you're closer to your subject. So you'll notice that the facial features look more pleasing, and you aren't getting things like an enlarged nose. The facial features will just appear more real to life. So when I create the more advanced iPhone photography video, I will go over the differences of each lens more in depth,